Hey there. So this is going to be the first part in a multi-part series about insulation, efficiency, and temperature control in a certain area of my house. So as you can see right now, this is the master bathroom. This is the master bathroom here. And the temperature in here when we first moved in was probably 20 degrees different than the rest of the house. I'm talking in the summer it was 20 degrees warmer, something like mid 80s and humid, and in the winter it could be down to 40 degrees in here. So obviously some serious problems. There were some really major problems that I already fixed, but it's still somewhere between 10 and 15 degrees difference. So this series is going to go over some of the the thinking I went through, some of the things that I discovered, the kind of thinking you want to go through when you're looking at why is this specific area of the house so inefficient, what are the things that I can do. So the first thing I want to do is go over the bathroom exhaust. This is probably not the most important part, but this is the first one I'm going to start with, basically depending on order of operations of things I have to do. So let's take a look exactly what the layout is. So on each side, there's a closet here, there's a closet here, and in here, we can see there's a little toilet room. So inside this toilet room here, I noticed that the temperature, there was a bit difference in temperature even from the main bathroom. And what I discovered is if we look up here at the actual exhaust, so there's an exhaust fan in here, is that actually if you hold your hand up to it, you can feel a little bit of a draft. So let's get pointed up there. So I pulled the fan off already. I actually put one of those timers on the fan, which I find really convenient, you know, with the different preset times, like 10 minutes, so you can just set it and walk out. Definitely recommend those if you don't have those on your exhaust fans. But anyway, I've got that on there. I'm taking a look up here, and I can feel coming out of here cold air right now since it's the winter time, but also warm air would come in the summertime. So this right here is where the duct comes in. This has got a 3-inch duct on it. And I can feel a little difference in temperature differential from the actual room itself. So this is definitely a part of the air leakage in this room. So let's look at where this duct goes. So if we come back here, like I said, there's a closet on this side, and there's a closet on this side. This is the side where, and then we have this little storage area, and the other closet has this as well. And basically what this is, if we come on in here, this is an unconditioned space. And so this unconditioned space is highly inefficient for the room that's adjacent to it, which is the bathroom here, and then the toilet room that's just right here. And what we can see right here, this is the actual duct. Now, the first thing we see about this duct is it's not insulated. So we definitely want to replace this with an insulated duct. There's a couple reasons you want an insulated duct. One, which is we have this temperature issue that we're trying to deal with, so that should help that slightly. But two, if you have air going from a conditioned space into this unconditioned space here, you're going to have differences in temperature, so you can have humidity, differences in humidity as well, so you can have condensation accumulate on the inside here, which can lead to mold. So that's going to be a problem as well. So there's a couple reasons we're going to want to replace this. So we're going to replace this here with an insulated duct, and then I'm just going to go ahead and replace that fan as well. And then where does this duct go? It doesn't actually go and exit out the roof, which is usually the best place to exit. It actually goes right out the soffit. So if we take a look here, we can see the duct runs out and just goes right out the soffit there. So let's go outside and take a look at that. So here we are up at the soffit, and as you can see, this is where that bathroom fan is exiting. And as you can see, it's covered in paint, so that's obviously an issue. And also, this is not a dampered vent. So we want to do a dampered vent here so that the air is only coming out when the fan is in use, and also air cannot go back in. So that will help us with that temperature issue of cold air going in, as well as that insulated duct. Now, another problem we find here as well is a lot of times venting from the inside of the house is best going out the roof. In this case, it's coming out the soffit. I'm not as worried about it coming out the soffit in this case, since it's not going to be the main fan bringing humidity outside of the bathroom. I'm actually going to add an additional fan to that bathroom on the main ceiling. But for that, so it's mostly just for that little toilet room. So I'm not as worried about it coming out the soffit. But a major problem I do see here is that this is right next to this soffit vent. So this soffit vent is to bring air inside the house to help cool it down next to the roof. And the fact that we're pushing humid air out and it can come right back in could create mold. So we definitely don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this this vent here with a dampered vent, and I'm going to put it, I'm going to locate it on the soffit in between this soffit vent and the soffit vent that's located down there. Now, I've already drilled a couple holes here, as you can see, and the midpoint right there is right on the joist, so that's not going to work. So I just off-centered it just a bit, and that's the place where we'll drill the hole to put the dampered vent. So let's go ahead and get that drilled out and get the duct installed, and we should be able to take care of this. Okay, so I just marked out a hole for that soffit vent. And I don't have a hole saw that's large enough to cut that out, so I'm just going to use a jigsaw here. Okay, so not the prettiest hole I've ever cut out in my life, but I think this should work. Operating a jigsaw one-handed on top of a ladder, a little difficult, and it doesn't seem to fit in this space very well, but if you got a hole saw big enough, I would definitely recommend that. But jigsaw will get it done in a pinch. It's also pretty cold out here too. Alright, so it looks like it fits just fine. Let's put some screws in, and then I'll probably have to do some touch-up paint up here too. So I'm just installing the new fan now. The new fan doesn't require any kind of access to the attic space. And actually, if we take a look here, I've removed the old fan, and I've got the electricity off here, so I'm just using a flashlight. And that old fan's out. There were a few screws in there. I was able to pull it out. That's actually a non-accessible space there in that attic. So what I did is, as you can see, I have my fishing line there. So I fished the line over to that attic space, and we'll just pull through that new duct, and then we should be able to install the new fan without any access to the attic there. So let's go take a look inside the closet. Okay, as you can see right here, this is the new duct, and as you can see, I've taped it onto the fishing line. So let's just stuff some of that up in there, and then we'll just pull it through. And as you can see, I'm actually going through a different rafter space there. This is a more direct route, and I actually did attempt it at this location as well, and it wasn't able to pull through. The way that was installed before, I think it has some of these straps right here on the inside of those rafters, so I wasn't able to pull anything through. So I'm just going to take the more direct route. That should work out. Okay, as you can see, it was pretty easy to fish that through. So now we can just go ahead and hook up the exhaust fan, and then we can hook up that exiting port on the outside of the house as well. So here I am back in the closet. I just finished up installing that exhaust fan. I'm not going to show all the steps for that. You can find that stuff all over the place. But we did get that fish through on that side. And as you can see, it exits there. And I'm building a little roof area here because I'm going to drywall this in. So that's going to be there's going to be a bit of a ceiling. So that's running through there. Then all we need to do here is run this along the side of the rafter up in this little bay, and then we will run it down here, and that's where it will exit out the soffit vent. So if we take a look, we've got this run where we want it to, and we have the duct on the inside, and then we have the insulated housing. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a nylon tie, 3-foot one here, and then the tie tensioner. We'll basically just be wrapping this around here, around that soffit vent. So let's see if we can get a good angle on that. So as you can see there, I got the nylon strap on. I also put some foil tape on just to be safe. Probably not necessary, but I like that on there. I'm going to put the final strap on now, which will just go around the insulated housing, and then we should be done. Okay, I think we're in business. So we got this thing all tied in, running along the rafters here, and I think we're ready for a test. So we'll just go ahead and go on in the bathroom there, flick on the switch, and then maybe even go outside and just make sure it's coming out correctly and making sure that baffle is functional. So let's take a look. So here we are back in the master bathroom. We've got everything installed. All we need to do now is do a little testing and check up just to make sure everything's working right. So one thing to keep in mind too that I forgot to mention is when I pulled out that old fan, man, it was tough to get out the way they had it installed. They had a bunch of bent nails on it, and that's an inaccessible space, so it was quite difficult to get out. As you can see, I had to patch up the drywall a little bit. Just got to do a little paint touch up, but just keep that in mind. So here, as I mentioned, these preset timers for the fan, 15 minutes, 10, 5, and 2. This is fantastic to have because you can just set it and go. So let's set it for 15. And we can hear the fan running. It's nice and quiet. Let's go check out the closet and see what that looks like. Running along the duct there. Everything looks good. Down the rafter bay and out the soffit. So we can actually hear the sound of the air exiting that soffit. I'm not sure if the microphone here will pick that up. It's kind of a whistling sound. But anyway, so everything seems to be working the way we expect. If we didn't hear the sound coming out the soffit vent there, what we'd want to do is go outside, check it out ourselves, up on a ladder, put our hand up next to it. We definitely want to have some air exiting there. If there isn't any air exiting, some things you want to check out is the baffle itself stuck in the soffit vent? Do we have some kinks in the ducts? And then the fan itself has its own little baffle, and if that gets stuck, it could prevent airflow, so you'd also want to check that as well. So just a couple things to troubleshoot if you're not testing properly. So hopefully this video was helpful. This probably isn't going to be the most important part of insulating this area, but this was the first video in the series. The next video is going to deal more with soffit vents, ridge vents, how to do calculations for airflow, and also baffles. So stick around if you want to get some info on that as well. Thanks.